Hello all, myself Vedangi and I'm a legal intern at Lexis and Company. So guys, my today's topic for the presentation is vicarious liability. So let's begin with the introduction part. As we all know that whenever a person commits an offense or does a wrongful act, then he is likely to be convicted or is imprisoned according to the crime he has done or the wrongful act he has done. But there is an exception, or we can say there is a situation or a case wherein if a person does an act, he himself is not at all liable for that wrongful act he has done. That is vicarious liability. So vicarious liability, in simple terms, if we say that what is vicarious liability, so when a person is held liable for the acts committed by the other person with whom he has a certain relation, and that relation can be either in the form of master or servant relation, or in the form of the partners relation, or it can be in the form of principal and agent relation. So these are the three relations that basically describe the vicarious liabilities relationship. So if we discuss in brief these liabilities of principal and agent and the partners relation and the master and servant relation, so first of all let's discuss the liability of principal for the agent's tort. So basically when a person authorizes another person to do an act, so in that situation the person who has authorized the other person to do that particular act or to perform that particular act will be held liable. And in that case the basic legal maxim that we all know that is very famous is Q facet per alium facet per se. That means that the act or the wrongful act has himself been committed by the principal on the behalf of the agent. Like we can say that principal will be equally liable as the agent is. So this is Q facet per alium facet per se. Now if we talk about the other liability, then that is the vicarious liability of the partner's tort. So in that situation, if a single partner of a firm does a wrongful act, then the other partners will be held liable as well to the extent of the guilty partners act. And the third one, that is the most important, is vicarious liability of the master and the servant. So basically when a servant does a wrongful act or commits an act that is directed to him by his master, then in that situation also the master is also held liable. And in this situation the maxim respondeat superior will be applicable. That means let the principal be liable. Also it derives its validity from the Latin maxim that we have discussed, Q facet per alium facet per se. Now if we say that for the liability of the master or for making the master liable, the following two essentials are very required. So basically first of all is the tort was committed by the servant, and the second is the tort committed by the servant must be committed in the course of his employment. Now if we say who is a servant, then servant is basically a person who acts upon the instructions or the directions of his master. But the master is not liable to the acts committed by the independent contractor. He will only be liable to the acts committed by the servant. Now what is the basic difference between the servant and the independent contractor? So here in this case the servant is bound to follow the directions and the instructions that are given to him by his master. Like the master assigns him some work, he has to do that work, and also the master tells him and directs him and instructs him how he should do that work. So basically that is in the case of the servant. But if we talk about the independent contractor, then in that case the master assigns the work to the independent contractor, but How to do that work is up to the discretion of the independent contractor. He is not bound to follow the directions of the master. Now there are certain ways by which the liability of the master arises. This can be due to the lack of care and caution on the part of the servant while performing the act that the master has assigned him to perform. Next one is if the servant does that act negligently, or if he fails to perform that act that has been assigned to him by his master. The next is if the servant willfully does an act. So in that situation also the master will be held liable. And the next is wrong done by the servant's fraudulent act. So guys, through the whole discussion, what we can conclude is that we have discussed what is vicarious liability. Like, the master will be held liable for the acts committed by the servant. And we have also discussed as to how the master's liability will arise towards the servant. So seeing all this situation, the court needs to take into consideration and to ensure that all the conditions and all the essential elements of proving the vicarious liability are fulfilled. And also court should take into consideration what are the ways where the master will be held liable and in what manner he will be held liable to his servant. So guys, this was my topic and my presentation on the topic vicarious liability. If you guys have any doubt, then you can comment below in the comment section. Also guys, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel Lex Click, and we will meet up in the next video with a new and fresh topic that will be related to volatile non-fit injuria. So guys, thank you so much. Take care.